Sup, Shredders? My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SB Interviews, where today, for our 15th installment, we have ourselves a chat with Zach, a Cloudzee. If we switch over to here, we have him on the main screen. How are you doing, Zach?
Feeling good. Feeling pretty good.
And how would you like to introduce yourself to the people watching?
Kind of just a kid in life trying to figure it all out. That's pretty much it.
Because you do make music. You make
That is true.
music, yep. And what kind of music do you make?
Um, to be honest, it's more of like I'd say right now feel good. It's definitely like very energetic, very like vibrant. I'll say that. Yeah.
Because you've got two tracks out at the moment. You got Starfire, if I'm not mistaken, and you've
Yep.
also got Runaway. Is that correct? They're both on your Spotify.
Yes.
And how would you describe those?
The first one, Starfire, it was kind of the best way I would describe it. It's kind of like a very kind of not bargain brand, but kind of like like dumbed down version of like a weekend song. It's kind of like it's like like a love song, very R&B. It has like an '80s feel to it, and then Runaway. It's a little more alternative, a lot more heavy instrumental guitars. We got a lot of bass in there, drums. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I did notice the '80s feel because are you doing this yourself independently, or are you working with like a studio to create this kind of music?
Yeah, so I'll usually find the beat. I used to be really heavy into production, so I have kind of like just an ear of like what I really like. Something will catch my attention or a certain detail, and like I'll sit through and I'll analyze the stems, all the tracks, everything, sit back there. But yeah, I actually went to a studio locally. It's called Uprise Recording here in Sacramento. That's where I'm from, and yeah, it was a really cool process.
Cool, 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 cool. And so, like, how would you describe the way you come up with the ideas for these songs?
I call it the she process. I kind of have to see, hear, experience something before I want to even take it to the pen and paper. You know, like it's just sometimes it will just hit me. Sometimes I'll space out for like weeks at a time, no material. It's kind of just very spur of the moment.
Because I suppose you have to have experiences to create stories. Because you've got some upcoming material as well that you're wanting to release soon. I don't know how much we can say about that, but like, is it similar to what you've done up until now, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna be I have an album planned for February around my birthday. My birthday is the 21st, sometime around there. So I kind of want to for this one. I kind of want to blend a lot of genres. This is gonna be my first album ever, and I don't want to like box myself in out of the gate. I kind of want to just be different. These two songs, Starfire and Runaway, they're a lot more singing, a lot more like heavy melody, and not so much rap. I used to rap a lot more back in high school, but now I just kind of I'm gonna get more back into that once this album comes out, and then I think people are gonna see that.
So when you say high school, like, what age was that around?
Like when I first was rapping, or like are we just making music?
Both.
Um, I I think my first ever venture into music itself was probably fourth grade, like very very long time ago. And I remember there was a talent show, and I remember I was nervous. There's like 200 kids. I was kind of nervous. I didn't want to go up there, and like I've kind of felt like I was like, oh, I can go up there freestyle, do something, just something, just get their attention. And then this girl went up there. No shade being thrown on her, but I felt like I could have won. So later that day in school, I remember just being bored, and me and my friends were after school, and I kind of just climbed on a lunch table and I started freestyling, and it kind of just went, and it just it just they liked it, and I was like, oh, like maybe I should have done that talent show, but here we are now, um, 10 years later, yeah, something like that.
Oh, because you're 19 at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
How would you say your experiences at the moment as a musician at your age? How would you describe being a musician?
Building it's very like the building blocks stage. It's kind of like I'm independent. I'm not signed. I'd consider it like when I was younger. I was like, oh yeah, like because I remember way back in the early 2000s and 90s, the label was everything. It was very much like you needed a label for the promotion to push physical copies. But I feel like now that we've progressed more in a digital streaming era, and like everything is a little more independent. I'd say I'm in the networking stage. You know, the very early stages where you got to meet people. You're sitting down, doing your first interviews. Meeting artists, meeting collaborators, producers, and you're kind of just building your relationships. That's where I'd say I'm at right now.
That's fascinating because you appear to know quite a bit. Is there like, do you have people close to you who teach you about this stuff, or have you been primarily trying to find all this information yourself?
Thousands and thousands of hours of YouTube research. That's pretty much, yeah. And then just reading books on music, production, business, and then a lot of people around me in my family, on my dad's side specifically, they're musically inclined. They've made music in the past, or they're guitarist or pianist or vocalist, or they do that. And then some friends that I went to high school with, they're the artists, the digital like marketing people. So I don't want to say that I had a team right out the gate, but I did definitely have a really good circle around me to kind of like bring this to life.
Oh, so does the educational system that you have where you are kind of help to support that? Or did you have to do like a lot of extracurricular kind of learning? Because you're talking about people having like digital marketing skills and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're kind of like a lot of people that I know in college right now. I'm not currently, but they're in like business and they're building websites and all kinds of crazy stuff. And but I think a lot of it was self-taught for the most part. I was very introverted, so like I knew those people, but I wasn't going to them and being like, hey, like like, could you build me a website? Could you maybe do this artwork? Do you want to maybe come over and do, something on this song? Or I wasn't like running around asking favors or trying to go out of my way because I was very closed off and reserved. So,
Which is fair enough. Like, that just makes it a lot tougher for you because was that part of the reason why you felt like you had to do those thousands of hours, just because it was kind of intimidating maybe to talk to musical professionals and stuff like that?
yeah. And especially, you're being a kid and not that people are kind of negative, but they're kind of like reluctant. They're like, you're a kid, you're a sophomore in high school running around. Oh yeah. Like I want to be the next big thing. I want to be this huge thing. And they're kind of like, that's cool. But like, there are people like, and they want to, I'm sorry, like older people, just in general, people more established. And it's more like, they want to give you the time of day, but I can understand where they were coming from. It's like they had a different priorities at that time. And now I'm kind of glad that I'm slowly rising to the point where I can get in those conversations, where I'm making those connections, relationships, and just establishing myself a little bit more as an artist.
So, like, what is the focus of yours then? Like, I know that you've mentioned sort of working on your social media and stuff like that. What else is involved in creating that kind of building block foundation thing you talked about?
Networking, meeting and talking to lots and lots of people. And it's kind of up until I say the end of high school, I was still closed off. I was very like I wasn't very outgoing. I wasn't outwardly like seeking help, or like I didn't trying to meet new people. That wasn't on my radar. But now it's more so like you have to, like you can't win a championship. You can't win the NBA finals without a team. You kind of want to build good coaches. You want to build good representatives, good team members, and I kind of think that kind of translates to like mirrors music a lot. You want to talk to good artists, because I know people who could do it all. Like they do their art, they do the songs, they do their instrumentation, the marketing, the legal aspects. Like but it's a lot. It's not easy. It's a process.
It's also very time, as you said, it's very time consuming, but also, well, we're not going to pretend like time consuming means like a couple of months. Literally, it can take a decade or two to be able to get all
Exactly.
of those skills down. So for you, your focus is on finding the right people who have strengths that maybe you don't have currently because you just haven't had the time. And like
Exactly.
you're learning those things from them whilst you work. Yeah, that's smart. That's quite
hmm
smart.
hmm Thank you. Yeah, my friend that did the sorry to cut you off. My friend that did the two covers from my songs. he does a lot of animation, and he actually wants to work on a lot of like anime in the future. And me and him have talked a little bit, and back then I said it previously, but I used to produce a lot, really heavy. I used to produce more than record. That's just, I was very nervous to hop on the microphone, and but I would do a lot of producing for my friends, and then so would send me those covers, and he would send me scripts to like review it, just check it out, and then I would send him maybe like an MP3 back of like a score I thought, or like of a scene. So we definitely have that in the works, and then you kind of just it is a lot of like networking, like it's hard to do it all by yourself, but I feel like once you find really good people to work with, the outcome and the product is just it's immense. It's something that you can never imagine would ever be possible. So
That's good. That's good. I'm glad that you found the right people to sort of work with you. Because what made you want to make an album?
in high school, everyone knew that I was gonna do something in music. I remember like they knew. I would tell my friends, and then I went to a very small high school. It was very kind of small. It was a charter school, um, and it was kind of like like word got around. They were like, "Oh, Zach wants to be a rapper. He wants to be a producer." And then they were always asking like, "Hey man, where's this mixtape? Like, hey, where's this song? Like, let's see this work." And it's like it's a lot of pressure, and especially at the time where I had like an AT 2020, a sock for a pop filter, and nothing but dreams. It's a lot.
Well, I mean, what do dreams mean to you? Well, like, what is your dream?
To be happy, just to be happy and see everyone else around me like happy and fulfilled. Like not so much like wealth or fame, just more so success and like stability. That's what I really want. I just want to be able to be like stable. Like I feel like so many things in this world, it's easy to go off balance. It's easy to kind of lose yourself. It's kind of easy to like fall off the path, but I kind of just want to stay on the path, and I actually kind of like the path I'm on right now. It's like things are really going good, and yeah, dreams are they're everything. That's the freest part of your mind. Anything can happen in your dreams, so why not make it good?
Well, yeah, I mean, dreams are just your brain's way of processing sort of information hasn't quite gotten around to yet, which is often why they're so weird, you know.
Yeah,
But that dream of yours sounds like a really like a noble one, like a
yeah.
really humble one, because you talked about people asking about being the next big thing. Do you think that being the next big thing would allow you to accomplish that dream?
I think it opens doors and it gets you in rooms with certain thing like people that can get you to that place. But my mindset is always like, if you're always chasing the top, it never ends. Like you'll get in one room, but then at one point you'll want to go higher, and then you'll want to go bigger and bigger, and then like it's just kind of like if you're chasing the wrong thing, you're just running forever. And it's like you don't find where you're supposed to be. It's kind of
Yeah, because your music's fairly upbeat. Like from what I've heard, it's fairly upbeat and it's catchy and it's that poppy kind of vibe with it. I mean, which means that you're
yeah.
gonna get a wide audience. But like, what kind of scale are you looking for? Like, how many album streams would you be happy with? How much do you think you'd need in order to get to where you want to be?
I don't want to be I don't want to be making music when I'm 50. I kind of want, I know as an artist, we all kind of have a pocket. Like you kind of have a window. There's always a window. Life is very, very short and precious, but there's that window. At some point, I want to definitely venture off into business and other forms of entertainment, like possibly a record label. I know I'm super against that, but, something to that nature. Music is just sort of the catalyst. It's just kind of the way into all of that.
Because you mentioned record labels. Like, what's your understanding of what a modern record label does?
So modern now, record labels of today, it's more so it's resources. They have the forefront to get you out there to the masses, to have you seen, to put you in rooms with people you would have never had the keys to get into that room to. It's very But I think now we're at a very weird age in time where people can pretty much do anything and be successful in it. You know, we're seeing, I mean, nowadays anyone could be a millionaire. Anyone can have 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Anyone could have 1 million followers on Instagram. Anyone, we're in a very weird, kind of explosive time where it's becoming easier and easier to accomplish a lot on your own.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And it's all about choosing your priorities, right? Like someone on Instagram might get like to 1 million followers, but what does that entail? You know, like what is involved with that? Whereas yourself, you want to get to a point where you're comfortable. Where is that for you in terms of those?
Comfortable, I guess, sitting on a beach at 30 years old with a condo. You know, kids running around. No, I'm playing. Just being happy with my work, being happy, getting to a point where I'm 40 and being happy. You know, like accomplished. You know, I don't feel like I don't want to look at life when I get halfway there at 50 or 40 and just be like dread the other half. You know, like oh we have to keep like it's not over. You know, like I want to get to a point where I get there and I'm happy with what comes before, and I can only look to what's coming ahead. You know.
You know, when you talked about 30 and being on a beach and having a condo and stuff like that, dude, that's fine. You know, what's
Oh,
wrong
there's
with
nothing
that?
wrong with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just but I don't want to. I don't want to bend like I don't want to ever tell anybody like, hey, that will make you happy.
true.
You know, I'm sure it will make you happier, but it won't. It's more. It's momentary. It's like temporary happiness. You know, it's not. I want to be able to be happy with things that aren't tangible, more like spiritual in a way, I guess.
No, no, that's fine. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if you focus on a lot of these social media elements and the marketing side of things, sometimes you can lose that spirituality, like that, in a sense,
Get
that
lost.
connection with yourself, because you're focusing on the numbers and stuff like that, and then you lose track of the actual music you're making, and that's when music just starts to. That's when music changes, right?
It deteriorates a little bit, and I'll be honest with you. Runaway. I think it got to around 9,000 ish streams recently. But I remember looking at that, and of course I was happy. But then I remember the next day, my friend, one of my closest friends, FaceTimed me, and he was in a studio with about 5 or 6 of his other friends, and he turned the camera around, and they were all singing Starfire, like just the whole hook to it. And I was like, you know, that meant more to me to see that and to see that instead of just seeing a number. You know, it's the connection, it's the impact, and I kind of like I feel like there's a greater appreciation value in that than streaming numbers. You know?
Well, I mean, people can just buy streams.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, like at the end of the day, that's been a big thing with Spotify, where Spotify recently has just been deleting entire accounts. Like I had a client who was like a review client, and they were getting work done for me through another person on, and they basically came to me because the person they were working through didn't got them some fake views, and they lost their Spotify entirely, and they had to start from scratch.
I'll be honest with you. When Starfire had come out, my ideology was like playlisting. Right. I need to get Starfire numbers to get it playlisted to get in bigger playlists, so that way it can go places. So I'll be honest with you. I had paid for streams a small amount. It was like 500. The thing was, after that had happened, it got to like 3,000, and I was like, well, this isn't, like it's kind of like I didn't know what I was signing up for. And I remember you and Saf talking about this a little bit. Like I remember with Starfire, like I think a month after it came out, I don't know the website what specifically it was anymore. I got rid of it. It was pretty lame. But there's another section where you could buy followers, and I know what you're talking about. There's hundreds of websites where that's optional. And I made the mistake, and I regret this now, of buying followers. To me, now looking at that, like at the moment in time, I was like, okay, let me just get followers, streams, so that way, if someone big or someone looking at this was to see it, they'd be more interested. Because I feel like it's more like it would grab your attention more. But I think looking back at it now, that had to be one of the. I regret that a lot.
That's okay though, and like the reason like I know a lot of people really get grumpy about it because, and it's often the people who either have been in the industry for a long time and had to really grind to get to that point, or it's the people who aren't prepared to do that stuff and they get like two followers and they're bitter about it. And it's just for you, someone who is trying to grow as a musician and an artist and who is having to compete with people. Let's be honest. If you're on a Spotify and you find an artist and they've got less than 1,000 views, so you don't see that number on their Spotify page, do you think it's worth listening to their music?
Probably not. Me personally, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would. Probably not. But
Like, it might be fantastic. It might be completely incredible, but because I think we as human beings, we need a number to verify whether something's good sometimes,
we need the verification, the measurement. Yeah.
And so I think that's why potentially if someone gets 1,000 views, even if they pay for it, they're going to end up with another few thousand like organic ones because people get that verification that the music's good. And that's an interesting world we live in, because that dictates the way that the music industry works. Because you could have a whole lot of musicians in a certain genre kind of engineer it so that their style of music gets these paid views. And then what could happen with the major labels is they could see that stuff and then be like, oh, that's an upcoming thing. Sign those people. And then the shift completely shifts.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's part of the music industry nowadays. But the other part is that you can do what you're doing. And this is the good part. You can actually do what you're doing. Like, how long do you think you've been able to do what you're doing? Like, how you've been able to do it? Like, how many years do you reckon that's been available?
For putting music out or building an audience?
Do you know, even for putting music out? Because, like, how do you put your music out?
Distrokid. Right? Anyone? Hey, it's what, $20 a year? It's anyone. That's what I was saying. Anyone could do it. It was just in the moment in terms of the numbers game, sort of what we were talking about of the million followers, like, and chasing that. I kind of got caught up in that, and now I regret it now. And yeah, I think obviously you want a presentation, you want to catch people's eye, but I think me personally, I just regret doing that. It was I think that was one of my weaker decisions, but what more can you do? No, it's out, it's done.
Yeah, no, just it's good to get it off your chest. Because
Yeah.
if it's way worse to do the opposite, which is to deny it, or like to actually go even further than that and be like, oh no, those people are terrible for doing that.
Right.
Way better be honest. It's actually surprised me. I never thought that I would have like I've had some people talk about it on my interviews, right? I never thought I'd
Mhm.
have anyone admit to it. And it's not because I
Yeah.
thought that people were like kind of devious or anything. It's just because I know how taboo the subject is.
Right. So I think now on Spotify I'm sitting at around 1,200, and I think only maybe 300 or 400 are organic, and I think the rest were from that $500, like not $500, 500 follower payment from the sketchy website. They all say organic. They all like, oh yeah, it's organic promotion, which I don't believe most of it is. But for Runaway, has anyone explained how like they book your interviews through Fiverr?
Anyone explain how they book my interviews through Fiverr? Basically, when people approach me for interviews, it's sometimes not even through Fiverr. They literally just see my gig. They're like, oh, let's just try it and find out. And so you get all sorts of experiences and all sorts of people. Some
Right.
people just assume it's going to be 5 minutes, and then you try and put in the description that the interviews are a bit longer. But then people won't read that because they just want the promotion.
For Runaway, I went through Fiverr and I met someone reliable and I trusted it. I'd seen the reviews, I saw the spreadsheets, the screenshots, everything, and I trusted them. And I went through it. And the first thing for Starfire, when I had paid for those streams initially, nothing was getting playlisted. Nothing was getting shown playlist. It was just the streams. But for this one, I think I trust this one a little bit more because I got the numbers, but then playlist came with it. I don't know if you just have bought playlist or what that is, but I think that's what that means a lot more to me than the 10,000 streams is scrolling down and seeing it in people's playlist. That means a lot more to me, because it's just
Well, at the end of the day, man, if people are putting your music in their playlists, that's them actually caring about what you're doing. I guess the greatest litmus test is for you. How much contact do you have with your fans?
I'm trying to get a lot more. I'm small now. I'm trying to build on that. I think I'm working on the cover art for the album, and then I'm going back to the studio next week to get more of it finished. Where I have all the songs written. It's just that only 4 songs are recorded. I'm thinking at maybe 11 to 13 songs total. So there's still a lot to be done. I know I can knock out 4 songs in 4 hours if I really come and I'm committed. I know that, but yeah. So it's just getting back there. So once I have more material to put out there and promote, like engagement a little bit more, like. But I think that's crucial. If you want to build an audience at all, you have to be prevalent and you got to be consistent.
So then where does the focus need to be then? Like if you need that engagement so that people can genuinely believe the kind of music that you're making and what you, who you are as an artist, what do you need to do to get that engagement?
My one thing of advice would be genuine and be consistent, and results will come. Because with Runaway, I didn't promote it a lot. I have like a video of me dancing in front of my car, and people send that, like they swipe up and message me, and they're like, "Oh, this is great." And I actually had just posted an hour or two ago that I was going to be doing this interview, and like 24 people had hit me up, and they were like, "Oh, congratulations!" And then Starfire might actually have some radio placement in like a month or two, and they were like, I had posted that, and everyone, it's a very slow grind. I'll say that. You just kind of have to like, batten down the hatches, stay 10 toes down, and like just be committed and genuine. That's pretty much it.
Oh yeah, I mean it is a slow grind because you're dealing with an industry that is just so full of people who are doing similar things, and so you've got to elbow and beat the crap out of people to be able to get
You
to where
have
you
to.
want to. Yeah, radio play is pretty dope. What kind of station is that?
I think Miami or New York. I'm kind of in between deciding now. I'm still figuring out like the BMI and the whole legal aspect of this. That's still pretty new to me. So you got to sit there, fill out the forms, get your tax forms done, all the royalties settled, and it's a process. I think a lot of people, if you really want to become a musician, if you really want to get into the music business, I'd say 30% of it is the music and 70% of it is the business. And you really have to know how to play both fields if you wanna win the game.
Yep. I mean, like, there's a million ways to make music nowadays. There are people, literally, I teach music production, and there are people that come in and they assume the way to make a piece of music is to download sample packs and go, and then, and
That's
there's no shame in that because that's what they get told.
Oh, I was doing that for years. Yeah,
Mm.
it's nothing wrong, but at a point you want to, you know, bro, we evolve as people, as mammals, we evolve. And I think at some point you want to get really good at your craft. They say the 10,000 hour rule. But I think it's more so that you want to kind of be a like a master of none, but an intermediate at most. You kind of want to diversify your skill, and the more skill and the more knowledge the greater you can be. So I think there's nothing wrong with dragging and dropping samples or splice or anything like that. But me personally, I think if you really want to get good at this, you have to study the craft and you have to respect the craft, and you kind of have to just throw yourself into it.
And for yourself as well, I mean, it's going to inevitably get more intense if you're looking at contracts because you're going to need to hire lawyers and stuff like that.
It, yeah, it's a lot.
And so you get to the point where you have to balance out how much money you're going to make from the radio stations versus how much like I don't know the cost of a lawyer over. You're in California, is that correct?
Up there. It gets up there.
In New Zealand, there's like a half dozen dedicated copyright lawyers, which is why I want to become one. I'm going to go back to school to
Yeah.
study that. Um,
Hmm.
copyright lawyers here, oh, dude, you do a couple of jobs per year and you're sorted. You're just sorted. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It has to be 70 because every decision that you make as a musician has to be one where there's a net gain.
Exactly.
What else are you wanting to do aside from the radio stations?
Eventually, hopefully, next year after the album comes out, live performance. I feel like, as a musician in this streaming era and where you're making, tenths of pennies to a dollar, shows and, merchandise are probably your two biggest forms of income. But I also feel like that's where people can see you, like it's one thing to just hear someone's music, but to see them and feel that energy, and you kind of establish a whole different perspective and connection to that artist or individual when you go and you see them in person. I think I'm a huge Tyler the Creator fan, huge, especially in high school. And then I went to go see him 2 years ago in San Francisco, and I remember just being like having my mind blown, and I had a whole completely new appreciation for him and the art that he was putting out and the album. And you just it's a different type of energy than instead of just pulling up Spotify or SoundCloud and just listening to it in your headphones.
Oh hell yeah, because it separates the beginners from the pros. Like if you get up there and your live show is not better than your studio record, you're in for a tough time.
It has to match. I've seen a lot of people. I know a lot of great singers and songwriters and rappers in here that I know in Sacramento and California specifically, but they don't. They're intimidated to perform, which is completely understandable. I know when I get up there, I'm gonna be terrified, but you just have to do it. It's kind of like comedians, like you're gonna get heckled. You might slip up. You might have a tasteless joke, but you're on the stage. You're on the forefront. You're being, you're out there. And I think that's crucial.
Well, I mean, for yourself, like, would you put out a song that you weren't comfortable playing live?
Not at all. Recently, all my when I was rapping before like I kind of adopted this like singing kind of like melodic, more so like acoustic, like just energetic style. It was like rapid, like super fast paced rapping. And I remember like going back through my old lyrics, and I was like, this isn't bad. It's just that you kind of, there are two types of songs. There are songs that people listen to, and there are songs that people, it's more like an anthem, like they're connected with, like you're a part of the song or you're listening to the song. There's two types, and I feel like to be a live artist, you definitely want something. If like when I hop in the booth and I write a hook, I imagine 10,000 people singing the hook, and if it doesn't work, throw out the piece of paper, start over. You just have to, that's definitely something I keep in mind in my writing process now.
Yeah, because like, how would you perform your songs live?
With this album, I'm still bouncing back and forth on a name. I don't know if it's going to be Teenage Tendencies or Teenage Wonderland. I'm still kind of bumping back and forth. I'm turning 20 in February, so this is kind of like my last teenage whatever year, if you want to call it. So I was like, let me kind of do this, and the sound with the acoustic and there's really two aspects of the album. It's a lot of past relationships and a lot of like an existential crisis. You can kind of hear it in the undertones of Runaway, and some of the verses in Starfire. You can kind of pick apart and hear it a little bit. But I want my albums to tell a story. I think that's a huge element, and I really appreciate that, listening to an album and being taken on a journey instead of it just feeling like a bunch of singles thrown together and just kind of like like, I don't want to say not thought put into it, but there's a certain attention to detail when an album flows, and you just it takes you somewhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, like if you wanted to do live shows and stuff like that, right? And your responsibility, I suppose, is to also try and tell a story that's entertaining for people while simultaneously keeping it stylistically cohesive and stuff like that. Do you
Hmm.
have like people who will be like performing alongside of you or like other band members or
I have I'm having a couple friends hop on the album with me, and then I know a couple bands. I kind of want to go for a live sound. I don't want to kind of just be up there um singing along to the background audio. I kind of want that live. I'm not knocking anybody that does that, but I when you have that live band behind you and you have the feel and you see everything and you see how it all kind of comes together to make this grand thing and this beautiful thing. There's a certain it touches you a certain way. It taps into your soul a certain way. And I definitely want to get some form of live sound behind me when I do start live performing.
because like do you have many venues around where you are which are supportive of up and coming acts?
There's a couple. It's you kind of I want to definitely get a yeah. There's a few. I do kind of want to spread out and go a little bit. I have friends in different states in the US, and like they all kind of like they've been sharing the songs around to their friends, and their friends will like start following me or like message me or something like that. So I think I want to do a couple in Sacramento for sure, build like a core audience, but I definitely want to venture out next year. That's the plan. Maybe around like next summer, do a couple like states, like maybe just like the West Coast, maybe just to it's a lot of planning, it's a lot of money, it's a lot financially, but I definitely do want to get my sound out there and just start building those connections.
Sweet. No,
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's fantastic. That's really good. Just thinking. I think we've covered quite a bit. We've covered quite a bit in this
yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
Um,
I feel good. This is my first interview ever. Feels pretty good.
hey, you're doing a great job, Zach. Doing a great job. Okay, it's been
Yeah,
a pleasure.
appreciate it.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about your music?
Stream it if you want. If you don't want to, that's perfectly fine too. But I would give it a listen. It's not. I can't really sing, but we have a pretty good mixing engineer here in Sacramento, so they kind of help me out with that. So check it out. More is on the way. This October. By the end of October, I'll have something new out. I don't have an official date yet, but definitely it's going to be an interesting ride these next couple months. I'll say that. So just if you want to stick along for the ride and come along for the journey, you're welcome to. So thank you.
Hey, it's all good. And just before I go, is everything over okay with yourself and your family over there over in your part of the world with all the kind of crazy stuff that's been going on?
Yeah, I'm not sure how it is New Zealand wise. I've only ever seen, The Lord of the Rings, so that's all I ever really know. But uh over here, yeah, everything's opening up a little bit more. I've been spending a little bit more time with my family. I know I'd mentioned being closed off before and kind of but I'm definitely trying to change that and like kind of rebuild relationships and like fix a lot of things that shouldn't have been broken. So
Fantastic. Well, hey, look, I wish you the best of luck with that, Zach.
thank you, appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no, absolutely welcome. And just confirming the links that people can see your material at.
So okay, Spotify, it's just Cloudzee. YouTube, it's Cloudzee, and then on Instagram, it's Cloudzee but with two L's, and it's Cloudzee with two E's on every platform. Sorry about that. I know it's kind of confusing. Someone had stolen the name on Instagram, so we kind of just had to improvise. But yeah.
Hey, thank you very much for your time, and I will catch you later on, okay?
Thank you. I'll talk to you. Talk to you soon.
Cheers. See you later. And that was my interview with Zach Cloudzee. Zach/Cloudzee. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was a little bit shorter than usual, but I think sometimes it's good. If you're able to cover what you want to sort of discuss in an interview, there's no point in prolonging it. Um, I'm incredibly impressed. with the character of this individual. I think that Zach is going to go places, genuinely. He seems to have a really good head on his shoulders, and he's also very honest. And, I can appreciate that. I think it's fantastic when people, can look at what they've done and appreciate the smart, sensible decisions they made, and when they can also sort of identify some potential areas for improvement. I think this is all really good, happy, positive stuff. But yeah, if you did enjoy Zach/Cloudzee and want to check out more of his material, I'll put the links to his stuff over here. Stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Catch your next interview. Spider hands out.